Virtual Campground is a community of RVers. We gather around the campfire to share stories, information, and travel tips that help you on your next adventure. Your camp hosts, Deborah and Barry Benton, are full-time RVers in search of quaint bookstores, cozy coffee shops with great Wi-Fi, and epic photography opportunities, all to share with you. So pull up your chair and join us in the Virtual Campground. Welcome to the Virtual Campground. Now, this is part 2 of our Asheville Brevard area overview. So if you haven't seen part 1, after this is over, go back and look at part 1. You don't have to do them in sequence. We can be crazy and look at them anytime you want, but make sure you go back and look at part 1, because that's more of the Asheville sort of things to do, which really is more of arts and crafts shops, food.
Architecture.
Yeah, architecture. Cool things to do in a nice sized city.
Our favorites.
Yes. Now, this is going to be more about the Brevard area.
The surrounding area.
Yeah, the surrounding area, which includes Brevard and some of the national forests and Blue Ridge Parkway, those sorts of things. So let's get going.
Yes.
First thing we want to talk about is one of the things we did, we took a little side trip out to the state park, what's it called? Chimney Rock State Park.
Chimney Rock State Park.
We didn't know a whole lot going into it, so we just heard it was beautiful, so we went out there. On the way there, though, through a little town called Lake Lure. There is a flowering bridge.
This is truly one of the most magical, fun little things we did.
Yeah, we weren't expecting this. We just stumbled across this bridge. And they've turned it into a big flowering garden.
Some volunteers basically run this, and they keep it flowering. And there's different scenes, essentially. So you had sort of this book area that those rocks are painted to look like books, little benches for you to sit on. But there might be one that was more cactus and one that was more flowers, and it's just like a little fairyland.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Really well done. It had gnomes, it had little buildings. It was so adorable, and you can just walk along this path, and
it's not very big. It's easy to walk through.
Yeah, I think it's not half a mile, maybe.
No, probably not even that. But it was pretty short. Yeah.
And so you can walk the whole thing and then walk back, and it's a bridge that goes over a river, and no longer obviously used for cars, so they changed it into this pedestrian bridge. Really cool. So then we continued on to Chimney Rock State Park, and it is beautiful. We were a little surprised that it was $17 per person to get in. That surprised us, and we didn't spend a ton of time. We just walked up to this main viewing point here. You can actually take an elevator.
Yeah, and so
the bottom of this rock.
We didn't spend a lot of time doing the hikes or any of that
we
sort
went
of stuff.
on one hike.
Yeah, one hike down to a waterfall. That was nice.
And the waterfall was okay.
Yeah.
But you get on a clear day, you would get a really nice view. This was a little less than clear day.
A little hazy.
But this park actually, they did. If you are a fan of The Last of the Mohicans, this park was actually used for some of the filming. Actually, there's a lot of places around where we're going to be talking that you will find references to The Last of the Mohicans. But so yeah, I mean, a lot of people love Chimney Rock. It just didn't do a lot for us.
So,
but the best part of it was
leaving there. There's a neat little brewery right on the river there, Hickory Gorge Brewery. Some interesting beers, but a really great place to sit out.
Nice patio.
Yeah, nice patio to sit out and listen to the water. So that was lovely.
Yes. So making beer out of lemons.
Yeah. So one of the jokes that Deborah loves to hear me joke about is whenever we're on a hike. The hike always needs to end at a brewery, and so we went on our hike in the state park, Chimney Rock State Park, and then we ended up at a brewery. We had to drive to the brewery, but that's okay.
Well, just to get out of the park, it's literally on the outside of the park.
It was great. Another little town that we really loved, and this we just kind of stumbled on because we were our first visit to Asheville area. We were looking for what's going on in the area, and you found this little festival that was happening in Saluda. And it ended up being a cute little town.
And it's again, it's one of those towns that you'll hear a lot about when you're in that area, that a lot of people tell you to go to it. Had a very small main street. That's basically all of it right there.
Yeah.
But they had really good restaurant. They had a couple of really fun shops. There's one, this general store, very cool. You can go in there and buy things, but you can also see just kind of what it looked like back in the day. So lovely town. Definitely worth a little day trip. And actually, when we went on one of our hikes, we ended up coming back through here. So some of the hikes, you can do a hike not far from there.
Yeah. Yeah, so really neat little town. We enjoyed that little small festival and walked through there.
Festival was very nice.
Yeah. So let's head over to Fletcher. So near Fletcher is another brewery. Now, we didn't go on a hike in order to earn this beer, but there is the Sierra Nevada brewery there. And it is the Disneyland of Breweries. It is
absolutely
beautiful. You can't really see in this photo very well, but if you look through those windows...
This photo is only like a fourth of the building.
Yeah, the copper kettles. It was just so well done, and a beautiful space out back where there was an amphitheater and
tiers.
Fires and it was just a real cool backyard to hang out, and there was a bar back there. Beautiful restaurant, and the restaurant, some of the food I saw coming out of there looked amazing. So this is definitely on my list to go back to next time we're in town.
It was a fun place, and you could go there with a really large group of people, and you'll be fine. So yeah, we weren't there when there was any music or anything, but it looked like it was set up to have some entertainment.
Yeah, with that amphitheater.
If you have kids, it's a great place to go because lots of space for them to run around in the backyard. We were there on a kind of cool evening, and they had heaters and they had the fire going, so really cool.
We were comfortable.
Nice setup.
And we're pretty convinced, and we're going to write a letter to Sierra Nevada. They had such a big property. It was huge that they could put an RV park on
Absolutely.
it. And we think that's a great idea.
I mean, you were driving for at least a mile just to get there on their property. So tons
pretty incredible. Now, you took a little road trip. I wasn't able to join you on this, over to a little town that you had heard about called Black Mountain.
Black Mountain is a town north of Asheville that I've heard every time we've gone. I've heard about it and I never gone. So I finally drove up there. Another cute town. Lots of cute towns around the Asheville area. This one has a huge art colony, I guess you could call it. Art vibe to it. Again, lots of galleries, but handmade arts. I fell in love with a table that one day when we have a house again, yes, we will go back there and I will buy it because it was so cool. The artist had made this sofa table that looked like a river. I mean, it had rocks in it and they used resin for the water. It was really cool. Really cool. And some neat cutting boards that were beautiful. Just lots of lovely, lovely crafts. So there are several of those kind of stores, plus some other fun stores to go in and out. So Black Mountain, absolutely recommend heading there. It's a little triangle of probably 2 or 3 streets, so pretty easy to do, but a nice day trip.
Nice. Very cool. All right, so there are so many cute little towns and Asheville, of course, and all that, but if you want to get out of town and go, there are some beautiful forests and places to go to get into nature. So there's the DuPont State Recreational Forest. So that's a really cool place. There's the Pisgah National Forest. And
which this forest started.
It's the cradle of
forestry. Yes, because again, this was the Vanderbilts owned all of this land, and then they gave it to they sold it actually, and then they also were the ones that, because they had all this forest and they were trying to take care of it and do conservation, they had brought in somebody to be over it, to oversee
Yeah.
it, and to start. And he was the one that started the Forestry Service.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's
The
fascinating.
practices to maintain forests properly, and that's where it all began. So you can actually go to the Cradle of Forestry Museum or Center or something like that. I think it was closed for COVID when we were there, but it's a really cool place. Really cool place. And then of course you're right there by the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Smoky Mountains and all that. So.
And you are there in the land of waterfalls.
That's right. Lots
Literally
of waterfalls.
Hundreds of waterfalls.
Yeah, so that book is Great Waterfalls of North Carolina by Neil Reagan. And really good book just to give you an overview of some waterfalls. But this is Looking Glass that's right inside the Pisgah National Forest. And then Soco Falls is not too far.
Let's back up for a minute.
Yeah, okay. You want to back up?
Let's back up.
up.
So hundreds of waterfalls in this area around Brevard. They call it the land of waterfalls. So, but some of these waterfalls, such as this one, you can literally see from the road.
Yeah.
You do not even need to hike to see this.
No. If you wanted to, you could walk down some stairs to get closer to it. Yeah. There's quite a bit of mist coming off this one. But you could stay at the parking lot, see it, and then move on.
This is one of many, but definitely this one you can see from your car. We recommend you get out because there is a nice little, at least, overview that you can get in and get a cleaner picture of it.
Yeah.
But yes, this one, and then just up the road is a small one.
Yeah, Moore's Cove.
That one is a bit of a hike. You have to take about a mile hike up a hill.
Yeah,
and also near there is the Sliding Rock.
Sliding Rock, which is super popular in the summer.
Super popular. You can actually pay a fee. That one you have to pay a little fee, and you go in and you can slide down the rocks
into a pool. And,
yep.
Yeah, apparently it's a big time summer thing to do for the kids to cool off. And I know we drove by it last time we were there, and there were lots of cars out there.
So all of those are in the Pisgah right there.
Right.
Within a few miles of
Just
each other.
Drive right up there.
Right.
If you keep going up that same road, you do get to a hike you can do called Cat Gap Loop. And the hike itself is not too bad. If you want to get to these waterfalls that are on it, you do have to scramble down to the bottom. It's a little bit of a scramble. It's not too bad. But
you can do the hike and see them.
You can do the hike and you can see them sort of from the top of the hike.
Okay.
But you get some beautiful waterfalls along that.
That's several waterfalls in the same hike, you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, several waterfalls in the same hike.
Clearly I did this one. He did this one.
Yeah, this is the one I got up really early in the morning. It was like 6 a.m. when I got up, or 6 a.m. when I left, and it was below freezing, and you, for some reason, wanted to stay in bed.
I don't think I was even home.
So lots of neat waterfalls. Soco Falls is a little bit off the beaten path, but you can see this a little bit from the road. But if you walk down to the bottom, which is a little treacherous, but you can see a little bit better. So lots of different cool things. Now, one of the hikes that we did was the Triple Falls hike, and that was in DuPont.
Yes, and we went up the hill.
Right, we went up.
And come to find out you could go down.
Well, the funny thing is, though, if you go down, you got to go up. So either way, it works out pretty well. But it's a beautiful little hike, and it's not too bad. You are going pretty constantly up, but it's not.
Yeah, when you're along this Triple Falls, you're going pretty constantly up, and then you get to the top and you go straight for a while to get to High Falls.
Yeah,
and the covered bridge.
Yeah. So. Really neat. And then, so if you go a little further north from that whole Brevard area, then you do get up into the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Smoky Mountains. And there's just, of course, tons of hikes and waterfalls and all kinds of things to do there. So,
but you want to make sure you're there when it's open.
Yeah, so that is the thing. This road's not maintained. They don't fix it during the winter. So they don't open it up until the ice is completely thawed, and some of the ice is in places that are in tunnels and whatever. And so once the ice is completely thawed, then they go through and there'll be dozens, maybe hundreds of trees that have fallen. And so they have to go clear all that out, and then they open up the road. So you definitely want to check, because when we were looking at places to go, we'd be like, okay, we want to go from here to there. And it'd be like, it's going to take you 6 hours because you have to go all the way around. So yeah, you do definitely want to make sure if you're going along into the Smoky Mountains and you want to get the Blue Ridge Parkway, make sure they've opened it.
So when we were there in May, we didn't have any problems, but when we were there in February, it was closed.
Yeah, it was closed. Yeah. Now there was a place that you could park, big parking lot sort of observation area, and you could hike along the Blue Ridge Parkway to get to some beautiful scenic spots. But yeah, if you want to ride it, make sure you're there at the right time.
Right.
Okay, so other things to do in that area besides go look at beautiful waterfalls is the actual town of Brevard.
Brevard.
So a lot of cool shops, great coffee shop that we went to.
Cup and Saucer.
Cup and Saucer, and bookstore.
Bookstore. They have a Highland Books is a great little bookstore up on the main road. This also, here's another fun thing about Brevard. There's a little college there, right? But Brevard is the home of white squirrels.
That's right.
And so you'll see in a lot of the shops, they'll have these white squirrel books, or they'll have white squirrel little fluffy squirrels. But we actually did see one.
We did see one.
But you can see them if you go out on the college campus. I know that's where I found them the first time I was looking for them. But apparently this is unusual, though I think their population might be growing of white squirrels. But they are home of the white squirrel in Brevard.
Yeah. Very
They're
cool.
also home of some great breweries.
Lots of breweries. There are some really cool breweries in town. Noble Brow was one that has great music. Oscar Blues, of course. And Oscar Blues is a great big operation. Well, not great big, but a great operation that happens to be kind of big. But they have some fantastic music and some great beers on tap. Highly recommend them. And then one of the cool things about the bike shops that are in town, there are 4 bike shops in town. 3 of them serve beer. So you can actually go get your bike worked on and have a beer, or you're finished with with your bike ride, go grab a beer or whatever. And then the 4th one, you go before your bike ride because it serves coffee.
It has a coffee shop in it.
So get your caffeine, go on your bike ride, and then go to the other ones and get your beer on.
And they have great big maps and can talk to you about where you should bike and the great trails.
Great stores.
Apparently this area in Brevard, around the Brevard area, is really in the top 10 places in the United States to mountain bike.
Yeah.
So
tons of
lots of trails and really popular with mountain bikers.
And when I was talking to the gentleman at Oscar Blues, he was telling me DuPont, which is a state recreational forest, is great for easier trails, slightly easier trails there, not quite as vertical. But the Pisgah National Forest that is on the other side of Brevard is much more difficult. You get your big time mountain biking game on there.
Interesting.
So there's
also on
Brevard's.
Main Street.
What's
sorry,
that?
I'm going to interrupt you. Sorry. Also, there is a really popular toy store, O.P. Taylor's. I guess it's been there for a very long time. And if you like to build things, they have some really cool built up. It's not those log.
Almost, like those things you put together. Connects. Yeah. So
really great. And then we had a really fantastic meal.
Yeah, this really surprised me. We were just looking for a place to eat, and it was Mexican,
which we don't usually
a little bit
eat
different.
Mexican food outside of Texas, But we went to this Quixote, fine cuisine,
like
Mexican.
Don Quixote,
and it was delicious.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Highly recommend that.
Yes, I got a sizzling bowl thing, and it was very, very good.
Yeah.
So there's just a tip there, and we already told you about the great coffee shop. So, and also they have a really great visitor center there.
Yeah.
Really nice ladies that will help you out. We absolutely think you should stay in Brevard or go see Brevard. And in fact, we stayed this time not far from Brevard.
We did. We stayed at, funny enough, an RV park called Land of the Waterfalls, something like that. Really neat little park, and it is in a great location.
Yeah, 12
or so slots. Yeah, really neat little park. Good Wi-Fi, super fast download speed, kind of okay upload speed, but this you can see in the photo there that little what would you call that? A cabin thing.
Yeah.
It was a little cabin thing, but that's where the Wi-Fi was sourced out of. So you can actually go in there, sit down. They had 2 kind of stand-up desk areas. We did our show from there one time, and we actually plugged into their router, and so had a great connection. Neat
And
little
Barry
place to go
snuck
watch
in
it.
there and watched.
Oh yeah, you
too.
can. Yeah, you can. They have all kinds of cable channels, so you can go in there and while you're setting up for your show, watch a little movie.
I thought, why is it taking him so long? So there.
So yeah, neat little place, and of course up the road from there is Rutledge Rv Resort. We stayed there
the first time.
The first time we were here, and neat little park on a little pond, and we're actually going back there this October rather, for Camp Carpe Diem version 2.0.
Yep.
And so we're excited about that. So
it's really nice. It has cabins, and it also has slots for RVs. You can either be parked right here on the lake. There's a little beach area, or other places around the park.
Yeah.
And really, again, nice people that work there. We're really excited about going back. I really enjoyed it. The great thing about the Rutledge Lake Resort, it's in Fletcher. It's super duper close to to Sierra Nevada, but it's also sort of more in the middle. So where Land of Waterfalls is really great, especially if you're focused on Brevard, this one in Fletcher is great because it's just south of Asheville and then north of Brevard. So within 20-30 minutes, you could be in either place.
Yeah. Great location.
So it's really good location. I also went and checked out Mama Gertie's. Mama Gertie's Campground, Hideaway Campground, I think it's called, but Mama Gertie's is north of Asheville. It's actually kind of halfway between Asheville and Black Mountain. And I've heard so much about it, and a lot of people have said it's a really great place to stay. So I went and checked it out, and it's beautiful. It is a really pretty campground. It's built up into a hill. The sites are all very level, really pretty. It's a little pricey, but it's real super close to Asheville. It's probably from there only a 15-minute to the downtown area that we told you about in the last video. So, and they also are really restrictive. They only open up certain times for like months ahead, I think, because it's been so popular. So, so it is, if you want to spend some money, it's a good place to stay. But Rutledge and Land of Waterfalls, I think, were much more reasonable, and they were closer for what we wanted to do. So, Mama Gertie's is north, so to get to Brevard would been over an hour, I think, to get down there. So, so just so you know. And there were, obviously, there's lots of other campgrounds in the area. We checked out a few. Some of them are super small, but, you just check. And then also we had a friend that stayed in the
Davidson Loop
Camp
Campground, I think so, right inside the Pisgah National Forest.
DuPont, wasn't it?
No, it was the Pisgah.
Okay.
Yeah, Pisgah National Forest, just going up almost to before you get to Looking Glass.
Oh, that's right.
Up there on the left. And neat campground, just a National Forest campground. I think he had electricity and water, maybe. But not great cell service, but a beautiful place to stay if you want to get away for the weekend.
Yep. So.
All right. So that's an overview of things to do outside of Asheville, North Carolina, and that whole beautiful area. So you want to talk about things that we think you should do, our favorite things? Must-dos.
These are the Benton's top things. Okay, you tell me, what's your top one?
So for me, it's all about the hiking and the waterfalls. So I think the Catgut Loop, if you are interested in photographing waterfalls or seeing them, and you don't mind a 30-yard scramble down a trail, excuse me, to get to the bottom of one, then I think the Catgut Loop is a great trail to go on. Now, it's a really long trail if you take the whole loop, but just to go to those waterfalls isn't too bad at all.
How much time do you think it took to do the whole thing?
I think, I wrote down my times on that. I think it was probably, but I can't remember them right offhand, but I think it was probably a 2-hour hike. Now, that included me spending some time photographing the waterfalls.
Okay.
So, it was
so it's not bad.
Not too bad at all. Cat Gap Loop goes to Butter Gap, and that's where you get to that final waterfall. So anyway, if you have questions about it, just email me, and I'll be glad to, or put a note in the comments. I'll be glad to help you figure this out.
My favorite hike is Triple Falls.
Triple Falls, yeah.
Yeah, because I just so many waterfalls, and there were some really pretty, I remember, flowers.
Yeah.
Unusual plants, and it was for me a little bit hard because it was uphill, but I did it.
It's a good cardio workout.
It's a good workout, yeah. But it was nice.
The thing about that, if you do go do Triple Falls, you really need to do that early as you can possibly do it, because it is one of the most popular hikes in the area. So there will be lots of people on that hike. I've read stories about just the parking lot being full and lots of people on the trail. So get there as early as you can.
Get there early, yep.
All right. So the other thing for me would be it's sort of a tie. But the breweries, there are so many good breweries in towns. Oscar Blues, Noble Brow, what was the name of, we didn't mention earlier, the name of the brewery, farm.
Sideways.
Sideways.
Oh my gosh,
Brewery.
that was my favorite.
You really need to go to Sideways Brewery. It's a neat little farm. Lovely couple own it. We had a great time talking to them.
It was super close to Land of Waterfalls Campground.
Land of Waterfalls Campground.
Yep.
And they do a neat little tasting, and they treat it like a wine tasting where they pour you one at a time, they talk about it, they let you enjoy it, and then they come back and you can have a conversation with them, and then they pour another one and they talk about it. So it was really, really nice experience.
You can also buy duck eggs there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they have, I mean, it's a farm.
It's a farm, yeah. And during, my understanding, we were there, of course, in February, but during the spring they have flowers, and people can pick the flowers to take. So yeah, it's a really pretty cute area. And
so many of the ingredients that were in the beer
came
were actually
from their farm. Yeah,
farmed there.
Some of the unusual beers were, they had flowers in them. And my favorite was the winter ale. It probably won't be there when you go, but the fun story was their 18-year-old son, who, since he's been 6, has been able to identify different hops. He has taken a class out of Belgium, I think it was, to learn how to brew beer as well. And he actually made that winter ale, and it was, of the 6 or so we tried, it was my favorite. We didn't tell his dad, but it was my favorite.
Yeah.
I actually bought a bottle. So
it was really, really good. So
and they had food trucks there too.
Yeah. Oh, and the day we were there, they had pizza, and it was really good. And they had a donut thing.
I think she's there all the time.
Yeah.
Donuts.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Unfortunately good. Yes, so Sideways was probably one of our favorite breweries.
Yeah.
Oscar Blues is the other one that was our favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun atmosphere there with all the music. Okay, and then what non-brewery, non-waterfall thing was your favorite in the area?
Well, I think just the Blue Ridge Parkway is a classic. I mean, you just drive along there, you've got so many beautiful vistas, so many beautiful things to stop and look at, hikes to take off of it. So Blue Ridge Parkway is just incredible.
Okay. My favorite art thing would probably be River Arts District, walking around that. And then the second one was the Seven Sisters Gallery in Black Mountain. So
Seven Sisters
in Black Mountain. And then from an architectural perspective, the Basilica. The Basilica is just an amazing thing to see. It's just a phenomenon to me that you could have those tiles. So
yeah, pretty incredible.
Yep.
So obviously we love the Asheville Brevard area, and I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. If you want to reach out to us, please do so. But we'd love to hear from you, and let us know how things, if we missed anything that you think was really important, your favorite, put it in the comments.
Please
We'd love to learn more about this area. We're going to be back here later this year.
We'll be there in October for Camp Carpe Diem. So if you're going to be in that area in October, let us know. We hope you'll join us for Camp Carpe Diem, but if not, please let us know that you're going to be in that area, so we can see you, because we'll be there early.
That's right. Yeah. So thanks for being here. Really appreciate you. Hope to meet you in person one day. But until then, we'll see you at the virtual campground.
See you around the fire.
Welcome to the virtual campground. Townsend. He is the marketing and events manager for Oscar Blues, and as many of you know, we're coming here for an event for Camp Carpe Diem. Hope you can join us, but we want to spend a few minutes to talk to Brian about the local life here in Brevard. It's such a beautiful area, so thanks for joining me, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
And let's toast.
Cheers.
Thank you to some good beer. Tell me what we're drinking today.
I'm drinking Western Mutant, which is a West Coast IPA. That's a relatively new beer for us. We just put it out about a month ago.
Okay, that looks lovely. And I'm doing the flagship Dale's Pale Ale.
Yeah,
classic. So, classic. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Brevard. Beautiful area, and if your favorite brother-in-law was coming into town and you wanted to take him to go do the things to do in Brevard, what would you do?
Sure. Brevard's a beautiful area. We're surrounded by national forests, state parks, state forests, so we have plenty of outdoor activities to do here. That's pretty much the main focus of Brevard. A lot of tourists come here to mountain bike, fly fish, hike. We're known as the land of the waterfalls. I don't even know how many waterfalls in the county, but there's a lot. Yeah. So you can easily take an easy hike to check out a waterfall, check out some beautiful other sites around. Mountain biking is huge here. It's one of the best places to mountain bike in the East Coast. So in addition to that, there's great arts and music, and downtown has some really cool shops and good food too. So a little bit of everything.
It really does have a lot of everything. We're staying just down the road at a RV park called Land of the Waterfalls. And you go straight down the road from there and you're in the Pisgah National Forest, and it's just beautiful. You've got Looking Glass waterfalls, and going up the road you've got hiking trails. It's all over the place.
There's tons of great fun to do outside here.
And you keep going up that road, and then you hit the Blue Ridge Parkway, and from here to Virginia and probably on beyond, it's just beautiful scenery the whole way.
It's a great area.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So tell me, your favorite activity you mentioned is mountain biking. So let's talk a little bit about that. If you have any advice for someone that wants to come here and do mountain biking.
Sure. Brevard is a great mountain biking destination. Tons of people come here every day for mountain biking. There's two distinct areas in town to mountain bike. DuPont State Forest is a little more mellow, a little easier, probably easy to intermediate mountain biking. Really good mountain biking there, but just not as intense as the other location, which is Pisgah National Forest, which is known for steep climbs, rocky terrain, steep downhills, very gnarly, kind of, definitely more intermediate to advanced riding over there. So you can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and you mentioned there are some great resources here in town. Several great bike shops, and they have a unique feature to them.
Yeah, I don't know if this is fact or not, but we may have more bike shops with bars in them than anywhere else in the country. I know there's four bike shops here in town, and I think at least 3 of them serve beer.
That's awesome.
The other one serves coffee, so you can go there in the morning, get your caffeine on, and then hang out after your ride at one of the other locations.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Brevard has so many things going on, and you could spend weeks and months here and not get tired of it. But Asheville, North Carolina, is right up the road, and that's a beautiful place to visit as well. Now, Asheville has a great arts community and some bookstores and coffee shops and a lot of fun. Anything you'd recommend about Asheville in general?
Yeah, Asheville's a great place for breweries, for sure. Definitely, there's lots of beer in Asheville. I couldn't even tell you how many breweries are in Asheville right now. There's possibly one that just opened right now as we're talking. There's that many. There's great restaurants in Asheville as well, really good food. It's become a really good food scene there. You mentioned art and shops. There's a lot of great shops. Biltmore House, some just really beautiful things to see and do around Asheville.
So once you get tired of Brevard, which you never would, but if you want a break, then head on up to Asheville and enjoy that.
Yeah,
be a little different change of scenery.
Different change of scenery, for sure. It's definitely a little more to do there as far as eating and drinking and more urban activities. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Brian. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and thanks for sharing the information. We are so excited to be coming out here for Camp Carpe Diem, and thanks for hosting us.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well.
Thank you, sir. All right.